Hello everyone, welcome to Tuesdays with Schwartz. I am live now on Instagram. I just did about 5 minutes on LinkedIn, so if you jumped over from there over to here, you are going to get this again. So first important thing, what are we going to discuss in this episode of Live Tuesdays with Schwartz? We are going to discuss the teacher shortage coming and how we can avoid it. Why is it coming? It is coming because every teacher in America is drowning. That's the bottom line. So let's figure out how we're going to solve this problem. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming today on this show. So first, let me tell you who I am. Your host, D.Scott Schwartz. I am the former teacher, principal, and superintendent. I want to thank you for joining me. This is going to be probably the most packed show I've done so far, and I think I'm on week 7 maybe? Not sure. Anyway, I have been working round the clock since March 2020, and everything shut down. I have been working nonstop, like literally nonstop. So far, this is what we have. We have leafacademy.org. We have a 100% free teacher self-care program. I said it again, 100% free. No obligation, sign up, take a look at it. One of the most important things in that, we're going to get to why that's important, is a template for a weekly schedule. We'll get to why that's important. Next, working on finishing the teacher playbook. Okay, what's that? That is the most comprehensive guide on how to be a great teacher. I know everybody, now there's plenty of books about teaching. No. This ain't Madeline Hunter. This ain't a rubric. This isn't Marzano. This isn't Danielson. This isn't Strong. This isn't 5D. This isn't any of those things. What this is the gap between people, obviously teachers, who finish graduate and undergraduate programs and the classroom. It's the bridge, the part that's missing, the part that was supposed to be covered through the mentor programs in school districts. Does not get covered. The part that was supposed to be covered when you get formally observed. Does not get covered. The part that was supposed to be covered during your professional development you do every year. Not covered. Teachers are drowning because they are not getting what they need. And so therefore they're saying, I might be done. If you are thinking, why is there a teacher shortage coming? If you are a teacher, if you are an administrator, if you are a board of ed member, you need to be listening to this. Do your math. Okay, so we're going to do math. Ready? How many teachers do you have close to retirement or could retire? Okay, they're gone. Why do they want to stay around for this? Okay, so you now take those out. So what's that? Between 5 to 10% of the teacher community? Okay, so they're gone. Now, how many novice teachers do you have? Teachers without tenure in your district. Why do they want to stick around? Now that's a bigger pool. That's probably about 15% of the teacher community. And what about the teachers that have between 10 and 20 years experience who are saying, you know, I don't know if I want to keep doing this anymore. You know what? Now's the time for me to make a transition to something else. You could be seeing, and New York City schools already saw this year, they were missing 10,000 teachers. 10,000. Is that number sink in? How do you miss 10,000 teachers and still run a school district? It's impossible. Now take that into consideration. Now obviously, how many teachers are there in New York City schools? Yeah, a ton. If they're missing 10,000, they're still running. So they did fill most of those slots. Like I need to make that clear. But that's because there's a lot of people out there who are certified who were not teaching. But now it's going to be inverted. There's going to be way too many openings and no one to fill them. This is going to be a national crisis on our hands. So, what can we do? Here you go. So the first thing is, this is what I've been trying to fill in the gaps. How can we help teachers? What do they need? So I'm on every aspect of social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Reddit, I'm on LinkedIn. I am reading, listening, talking to teachers across the country, and they're all saying the same thing. Well, they're not saying it, they're complaining, but what they mean is, I need help. I need help. I don't want to quit. I don't want to leave this profession. I like being a teacher, but please, what do you want from me? I can't do anything else. And the problem is that when a teacher says, I can't do anything else, they're automatically doing the wrong thing. Teaching is not that hard to do if you know what you're doing. Teaching is overwhelming when you don't know what you're doing. That's it. There's a lot to do. So please, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. In order to be a great teacher, you have to do a lot of things, but you can do all of them. Because if you couldn't, well, frankly, there wouldn't be any great teachers. So clearly it's possible. So we need to make that very clear. Being a great teacher is not impossible. It's very possible, but it requires a lot of knowledge, skills, practice, and talent. So that's why I'm writing the book called The Teacher Playbook, the definitive guide on best teaching practices. So I'm going to do a little bit of a highlight of that. We're going to go over again the Teacher Self-Care Program, which is right now live at leafacademy.org. You can find that in the bio. Just sign up. If you know a teacher, sign them up. If you're a parent, you could sign up too. I have parents in my community who are doing it, going, all right, this helps. I'm stressed out myself. I could use it. So if you're a parent, you could use it too. Again, it's free. Why not? Share it with everybody. I'm hoping to have 1 million people in it. So just keep sharing it. That's all it is. leafacademy.org. Go right there. It's easy. I made it the homepage because why not? Make it as easy as possible. leafacademy.org. Get the 100% free self-care program. So the key component of that program is the weekly schedule. Now, why is this important? All right, I'm going to explain. Everyone who's overwhelmed is having a problem with time. Okay? Time. If you're overwhelmed, you literally have too much to do and not enough time to do it. So what the schedule does is helps you break things down to say, what do I have time for and what don't I have time for? You can't work 27 hours in a 24-hour day. So use the schedule, I'm telling you. Now, the second piece is, well, what do you cut out? And that's where teachers are having a problem. It's probably where parents are having a problem too. What do I cut out? Because making that decision, I don't need to do this, is probably the thing that's creating more stress, because you're like, well, I have to do it all. That's why the book is so important. I have a lot of notes. So let's do a little preview. Can't make any promises of when this book will come out because I'm writing it, I'm finishing it now. So you got to give me a little time. But if you give me more comments, we could do, maybe in a couple weeks. If I get enough interest, I could do a pre-sale, get you guys in. You could get it immediately when it releases so that you don't miss a day. My hope of hopes is that I'll have it by Christmas. That's my hope. If I can do that sooner, awesome. Not sure, because there's a lot of copy editing. There's a ton of, I have to actually format the whole book, and to print it, that's going to take. So what I'm going to probably have to do, and I have to do an early release as well of like a digital book, as well as maybe even an audio book. But please leave a comment. Let me know what you want. So here you go. First piece, first chapter is called The Practice of Teaching. Why is that important? Because teaching is a practice, just like medicine, just like law. Teachers, lawyers, doctors, professionals, certified, they should have talent at what they do. So here's the question. Do teachers have the same level of talent, and do they have your trust as much as a lawyer or doctor does? Right now, no. That's a problem. You need to trust your teacher. Hey Lenny, how you doing? So you need to trust your teacher. Now, that's not your job to trust your teacher. It's the job of the teacher. It's the job of the school. It's the job of the principal to make sure that parents trust what's happening in the school. And the only way to gain trust is to know what you're doing. So the practice of teaching breaks down into 5 components. I'm going to do them real quick for you right now so you know what I'm talking about. The first one is lesson planning. I know. Don't jump down my throat. Yes, you have to do proper lesson planning. And I have a whole system to do lesson planning. I'm working with a group of teachers who are basically brand new, don't know a thing, and just going, I don't know. And giving them the template, they have already reduced the 10 hours of lesson planning they were doing before me. It's cut in half. They're now doing only 5 hours of lesson planning, and their lesson plans are 100% better. Not even like marginally better. They're infinitely better, and they're spending less time on it because now they know what they're doing. So that's the first one. Second one is classroom environment. Hey, did you hear it? Classroom environment, not classroom management. Classroom environment. Classroom management goes under classroom environment because you can't manage what you don't know. See, we're starting to find the bridge. You don't learn any of these things in undergrad or graduate school. Nothing. That's not their fault. I need to make that clear. There is nothing wrong with the undergraduate and graduate programs in this country teaching teachers. Nothing wrong with them. But there's a gap between when you graduate to when you go into the classroom. So we need a bridge. This book is the bridge. All right. Third is delivery of content. Now, also, key, do you need to be an expert in your content? No. Honestly, and I'm going to tell this, and parents, if you're listening to this, this is the honest truth. Your teacher does not need to be an expert in the content. They need to be an expert in teaching. And in honesty, they just need to be 2 steps ahead of your kids on the content because they have to plan. So you can't just be 1 step ahead, you need to be 2. But if they're 2 steps ahead in the first year, in the second year, they're 4 steps ahead. And in the third year, they're 6 steps ahead. And in the 5th year, I mean, it's just exponential. You become an expert after you start teaching. You're not an expert when you first start. You need to focus on being a good teacher. Then you'll worry about being an expert on the content. So I would expect a teacher after 20 years to not just be an expert teacher, but expert in their content. Now, here's the other thing that I'm going to tell you. It's a little secret. You cannot teach everything. And I know what everyone's saying. Wait a minute. But there's a curriculum. Yeah, there's a curriculum. Teachers need to decide what to teach. The more important thing, which is what we're going to get to, which is the next piece, number 4, is making connections. That's the critical thing in a classroom. Making connections between the content and relevancy to today. So I'm going to give you an example. If you were to teach the same content that we were teaching in the United States in the 1800s, today in 2020, you would be kicked out of the school. Why? Because most of what they taught in the 1800s was racist. Flat out. Why? Because only white people went to school. In fact, only white males went to school. And in fact, only white affluent males went to school. Reality is reality. Today in 2020, everyone goes to school. Everyone goes to school. So we need to have content that's relevant. Now, I just helped a teacher. Her lesson, her subject, so she's in social studies, she was doing world history, so world civilizations. And so she was covering the UN's basically Declaration of Rights. And she was having problems. And I'm like, how could you have problems with the Declaration of Rights? Especially now, today. You don't have to go very far. And she's teaching in Maryland. So I was like, talk about Baltimore. The violation of rights there. You could talk about policing. You could talk about George Floyd. You could talk about Breonna Taylor. You could talk about Black Lives Matter. You could talk about Antifa. You could talk about Donald Trump. You could talk about the Democrat. You could talk about anybody. It's relevant and it's in the curriculum. Now, is that world civilizations? Well, the last time I checked, America was in the world. Now, is it American-centric? Sure, but America's in the world, so it classifies as a topic within the curriculum. Just because it doesn't go outside of America doesn't mean it's bad. You're teaching the concepts. That's the key. Do you need to teach everything? No, and I will tell you, as a former social studies teacher, as well as a technology teacher, you can't teach everything. And kids can't remember every date and every person that was in history. In fact, are we teaching kids to become contestants on Jeopardy? Or are we teaching them to become productive members of society? That's the goal. The goal has to be, you need to be able to go to work or start your own business or fix a problem or do something productive with your life. But that's only going to happen if you can think. If you know a bunch of stuff, your only profession is contestant on game shows. Now, we need those, but not everybody. In fact, Jeopardy only needs 5 real good contestants and they'll just win them all. So, next, because we did number 4, number 5, this is all part of the practice of teaching. Number 5 is building resiliency in students. Do I really need to explain that one? Kids need to be able to adapt. Why? Because we're having difficulty adapting to a pandemic. We had to stay home and we almost lost our minds. We had to stay home and we lost our minds. Imagine if we actually had a real disaster. I've been home since February. It's not fun, but it's not an emergency. Now, here's another problem. We did shut down businesses. Okay, those people need to be able to adapt. They need to be able to think on their feet. They need to be able to know, what am I going to do? Well, if we didn't teach them resiliency in school, all of those people, every single one of the unemployed people in this country, yeah, I feel it. I know what you're going through. You're going, well, what do I do now? But if you got a better education, you wouldn't be thinking that way. You'd be like, all right, what's my next opportunity? The only thing that's good about America is that there is so many opportunities. You just have to actually get up off the couch and say, I'm not giving up. I don't care what you say, what you do, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do it because I know that I know things and that I can solve problems. And that's it. That's the beauty of America. You can solve a problem, you will make money. End of story. You also have to be good at explaining it, but hopefully in school you learned how to communicate. Hopefully in school you learned how to write. Hopefully in school you learned how to speak. Hopefully. Are we teaching that in today's schools? Are we teaching that in high schools? We're not. So we need to fix education. We need to fix it fast. But we don't need to fix it fast for kids. We need to fix it fast for teachers, because teachers are the key. Without quality teachers, you have no school. It's a waste of time. In fact, it's less than babysitting. Parents would be better served go finding a teenager or a college student and saying, sit with my kid for $20 an hour. You'd get better than a bad teacher. So parents need to really get off the case of the teachers who are struggling. You need to call the principal and say, you need to help that teacher. They suck. And I'm not here to teach the teacher how to teach. I want my kid to get a better education. Call the principal. Say, what are you doing? You need to help your teachers. Don't attack the teacher. Trust me, they're doing everything they can. I have not met any teacher, even the worst teachers in America, I've not met them. And they're not bad people. They're just literally way over their head. They're sinking. They're drowning. We need to throw them a life preserver. Not scream and yell at them. Not berate them. Not blame them. Don't do that. Don't beat the teacher. The teacher's the messenger. Don't kill the messenger. The problem, you got to go to the principal. You got to go to your superintendent. You got to say, what are you doing to improve the teacher? What are you doing? I'm going to tell you right now, they don't know either. Why? I don't know. I will say this, there's no national help. There is no national support. There is no federal government guideline that says you should do this, you should do that. None of it exists. None of it exists. I know you think it does, but it doesn't. The only thing the law says is that every kid must meet minimum standards in literacy and math. That's it, and they're minimum. They're not that hard. Your kids are probably already meeting them after the 4th grade. So after that, there is no guidance. And the government doesn't want to get involved. I know they say they want to get involved, but trust me, they don't want to get involved because this is really hard. And that means if they got involved, you would blame them. So they're taking a hands-off approach, saying, no, we want to hold schools accountable, but we don't really know what you're supposed to be doing. So we'll just kind of like arbitrarily say you're doing a good job or not doing a good job. We have test scores, but they don't really tell us if a school is doing well. They just tell us if that student understands information. We kind of over-assume that it says something, but it doesn't say anything. Test scores say nothing. Nothing. Should you get rid of test scores? No. See, here's the problem. We don't need to get rid of anything. We just need to start using it smartly. We have smartphones in the 21st century. We have dumb schools. We have dumb politicians. We have dumb education officials. Everybody's dumb. We need to wake up. Just do things better. So this guide is going to get us there. So chapter 1 is the practice of teaching. Like I said, 5 things. You've got lesson planning, classroom environment, delivery of content, making connections, and building resiliency. Chapter 2, guess what? Repetition. Yeah, teachers need to go over it again. Anybody seen the movie Miracle? Yes, Disney's movie The Miracle with Kurt Russell about the 1980 Olympic team. And he made them he was playing Herb Brooks, the coach in the U.S. Olympic team 1980, and they had Herbies. Herbies was players had to basically skate from one end of the ice to the next, over and over and over again. Why? Because he said it in the movie. The legs feed the wolf. If you don't have strong legs, you can't play in the 3rd period. Again. Guess what? Our teachers are not playing in the 3rd period. They're out of gas by the end of the 1st hour of school. We need to get our teachers' stamina up. We need to help them be able to handle any classroom. There's one thing that I know is I know how to handle any classroom, because the students that I worked with would challenge any of you to your wits' end, and I had a whole school full of them. I love every one of them. But they will tell you after they graduate, because they did. They used to come and visit me 10 years later, 20 years later. I was a pain in the neck. Yeah, okay, you said it, I didn't. We have to be able to handle students in a classroom with learning. There is not one kid that doesn't want to learn. Now, are some of the kids going to show you they want to learn? No. They don't get any attention anyway. So the fact that you're giving them negative attention is great to them. Do you want to do this? Now there's a game going on. Oh, this is way more fun than doing work. There was one strategy I always told my staff. Don't argue with the kid. And they'd be like, but he doesn't want to do the work. Okay. Don't argue. Who wins out of that? You don't. So they're like, well, what should we do? Well, just tell them. If you don't do this, you're going to get a 0. They're like, yeah, but they don't care about the 0. Yeah, they do. They just don't care about what you're saying. That they do. I'll sit with them. I'll explain to them why a 0 is bad. That's administrative support. Teacher, you do your job. Administrator, I come in with the big guns. In fact, I had a student in the 2nd grade. Okay, so he was 6 years old. When I used to walk in, he used to go, oh, here comes the big guns. He knew the power structure. He needed to listen to the teacher. If he didn't listen to the teacher, guess who was coming in? That was it. And another student, he never wanted to see me. Why? Because my punitive, here's the difference between public school and my school. Public school, every kid gets punished. Want to hear what my punitive strategy was? I would read Dr. Seuss to them over and over and over again until they were begging me, can I please go back to class? I can't take it anymore. Oh, okay, yeah, because class is way better for you and you should do all your work. Because if you don't, I'm going to read this Dr. Seuss to you again. And they're like, okay, fine, I give up. I'll do the work. Way easier. You're impossible. That's punitive. Being good to kids, killing them with kindness. That's how you change kids' attitudes. You don't feed in, you move away. You just say, okay, you're in a negative space, great. I'm not going there with you. I need to take you over here, because over here is better than where you are. And if any of you follow Dr. Phil, I don't, but he would say to that kid, how's that working for you? It's not. They're not getting good grades. Their parents are down their throat. Their teacher is like, just do something for me. Everybody's down their throat. Trust me, do they like life? No, they hate life. That's why they're angry at you. Because they can't get out of this situation. They are forced to go to school every single day to do work that they don't understand, and they're getting grades that suck. How would you like it? So the teacher has to intervene. You have to provide support. You have to say, okay, wait a minute, this work may be too difficult. All right, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? Teacher needs to lay 10 things in front of the kid and say, which one can you do? And then from there, that's it. You give that kid that same assignment. Again, with new content for a week straight. Guess what? You now have one piece of work coming out of that kid for 5 days in a row. Whoa, a miracle just happened. Folks, we need to do things better. Number 3, feedback. That's what the administrator's for. I don't know what administrators are doing in buildings. Honestly, I don't. You do walkthroughs. Do you ever tell the teacher, hey, that was good? Or, do you know what you were teaching? Did you notice there was 3 kids in the back of the room sleeping? Did you notice that? You did, okay. Is there a reason you didn't wake them up? No? Just Just tell me, why didn't you wake the 3 kids in the back of the room up? Now, we're doing online. So here's the one. Ready? Okay. Teachers, half the kids are not turning on their video camera, right? Okay. And so we have this whole thing like, oh, introverts and shy kids and all this other stuff. Guess what? The kids will turn on their video when you start making a point. It's got nothing to do with the kids. Kids know the deal. Kids are not stupid. Kids know they have to go to school. It is the one unwritten law that every kid knows. What are you doing today? I gotta go to school. They know it. They know they can't get out of it. Now, does that mean they're gonna like it? No, doesn't mean they're gonna like it. It just means that they know what they need to do. So the teacher has to make that effort to say, okay, let's figure this out. So best example, again, I'll go back to the teacher that I helped in Maryland, okay? She was teaching the Declaration of Rights from the UN. You know what she was doing? There are 30. She was reviewing all 30 rights with the kids. Oh my God, can you imagine how bored you are? You didn't even learn one and you're already bored going, 30? Oh, what do I need that for? You don't. So kids are not stupid. They're asking, why do I need to know this? And the teacher answer for the last 100 years is because you need to know it for the test. All the wrong answers. No, you don't need to know it for the test. You don't need to know it for the test. Here's the secret. You need to know up to 6th grade math. If you can't do 6th grade math, you got problems. For your life, you have problems. You need in the United States to be able to read 4th, 5th grade. If you can't read on a 4th or 5th grade level, you got a problem. Does that change the argument at all as to like what we should be teaching in school? We need to make sure that every kid that graduates high school can read at least on a 4th grade level. That can do at least 6th grade math. We need to change the arguments because, to be honest, the kids that are at the bottom, we need to raise them up. And everybody else, we need to really accelerate where they are because they're not good enough. They're not going to compete against the rest of the world. We have right now the capacity to destroy the entire world in education with our current public school system. Yo, wait a minute, did you hear what I just said? We have the capacity today to destroy the entire world with our educational system if we just go in the right direction. Because we happen to have the only good thing that came out of No Child Left Behind and President George W. Bush's administration on education policy was the fact that we upped the intelligence level of every teacher in North America. Oh my God, your teacher is way smarter than the teachers 20 years before. Absolutely, every single one. Because you had to. They raised the standards in undergraduate programs. They raised the standards in graduate programs. So in order to get into an education program in undergraduate, you needed to be able to think. No more of the days of like, well, I'll just become a teacher. Yeah, good luck, because you ain't going to pass the classes. Education majors had to read, write like you wouldn't believe, and then do work that makes no sense. When I did my master's program, my graduate degree, I had to do curriculum design. Holy cow, that stuff was complicated. Doing it for the first time, and I'm a smart person, but I was completely turned around going, okay, I submit. I don't know, just tell me how to do this because I couldn't understand it. Now, I get it. Makes perfect sense. I totally understand the whole process. But when you first get presented with it, it is really complicated. So every teacher can do that. Don't underestimate your child's teacher. Don't underestimate American public schools. Don't underestimate them but we need to start moving in the right direction. Again, this book is exactly what we need. Number 4, this is the part I love. The variables. For all you sports fans out there. You know who Tom Brady is? Either love him or hate him. Doesn't matter. Tom Brady left the New England Patriots, yes. After all those Super Bowl appearances. Left, went down to Florida. Tampa Bay. And the first 3 weeks of the season, Tampa Bay, guess what? Sucked. And everybody, all the reporters, all the pundits, all the experts, Tom Brady's done. Guess what? He shouldn't have gone to Tampa Bay. They are horrible. What'd Tom Brady say? Tom Brady said to the reporters, hey, fellas, calm down. It's 3 weeks. This is a new offense. I know what we're doing. Got to give us the time. We're repeating it. We're going over it. We're doing it. We're also doing all the variables. Remember the audibles? Because quarterbacks call audibles on the field. Well, you can't call an audible unless you know all the plays backwards and forwards so well that you can change it up and go, okay, well, you know what? Combine this with that and do. Everybody, you go that way, that way. That's what we need our teachers to be. So good that they can call audibles in the middle of class and say, all right, this lesson not hitting. So you're online. 75% of the kids are tuned out. Teacher stops, calls an audible, says, guess what? This is what we're going to do. All the kids go, huh? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? We're not finishing? No, we're not finishing. There. Forget it. That assignment sucked. What? Teacher said the assignment sucked? Do I have to do that? No, you don't. Am I going to get graded? No, you're not going to get graded on it. We're going to do this. You want to get a grade? This is what we're going to do. Oh, okay. All right, I have to pay attention now because I don't know what you're doing. I have to pay attention now because I don't know what you're doing. So now I have to figure out, wait a minute, hold on. What's going on? Like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to the teacher moving and I got to keep up with the teacher. See, that's the difference. Right now, schools are easy. Kids are bored. Beyond bored. Beyond bored. Even the best public schools in North America, even the best public schools in North America are not even reaching their potential. There is not a school in America that is actually teaching as well as they could. They're not. See, everybody thinks that you need free college. You don't. You have free high school. You know what needs to happen? High school needs to be better than community college. High school needs to be better than a freshman year of college. Oh, we move up the ladder. Guess what? You get free high school and you graduate and you're better than a freshman after 1 year of college? We're looking at a much different country than what we have right now. And that is possible. You can increase the education and the learning of students up to a freshman year's worth of college. Easily can be done. And kids graduating at that level of academics, there's no stopping them. The ones that go to college, forget it. The rest of the world is in trouble. And the kids that don't go to college, go straight to work, they're going to crush it. Crush it. You just got a freshman year's worth of college in high school. You're going to crush it at work. Everybody around you is going to be like, what the hell happened here? Where did he come from? He just graduated from high school. Yeah, I just graduated from the new high school, the new American high school. Yeah, you want me to figure this out? I got it. Not a problem. Every one of those kids will be going up the corporate ladder like that. In fact, everyone should be worried. People my age or older, you graduate those kids, you have some work to do. You need to up your game because your job is on the line. It won't matter, right? Because as Andrew Yang said, 50 million of us are not going to have a job anyway. So what are we going to do with the next generation of kids? If there are 50 million less jobs, what are those kids going to do? We need to increase education now, in high school, not in college. Let the college programs figure out their own crap. And we shouldn't be giving them money. Because you know what? They don't do very good with it anyway. Let's give the money to public schools. Let's give the money to kids. Let's give the money to parents. Let's give the money to communities. Let's do this now, not wait. Not to mention, what percentage of the kids go to college? It's not the majority of kids. Most kids graduate from high school and never go to college. So why are we giving money to colleges? They don't need it. And if they do, they suck. You can't manage your program and you're charging $50,000 a kid. You're bad at your job. End of story. Last one, confidence. Hopefully you see that I have some confidence. I got it because of 20 years of experience. I got it because I did all of these things. I learned what a good teacher was. I learned what a good teacher looks like. And then I repeated it over and over and over again. And then, because of the fact of the students that I had in my school, I got tested like you wouldn't believe. And usually every year, I would meet a student who I had never ever tried this challenge before. I'm in the process of also finishing another book, which is called The Behavioral Secrets, okay? And the one student, so I'm gonna give you a preview of that story. So the one student, he had contracted Lyme disease. I don't know if you're familiar with Lyme disease, but it's a nasty disease. And unfortunately, the doctors didn't catch all of it in time. So he had a neurological impairment. Yeah, poor kid, 8 years old. So when I met him at 9, he'd already missed almost 2 years of school because he's in the hospital. Can't learn if you're in the hospital. Not only that, but he couldn't do anything. He had to relearn how to walk. He had to relearn how to talk. That's what the disease did to his mind. So when I met him, he wouldn't even come into my school. I conducted a student interview in the parking lot. In fact, he didn't even come out of the car. I did it through the back door window. The parents were out, I was out, child study team was out, and I'm talking to a kid through a window in the back seat. Took me about a week to get him into the building. Now, he wouldn't touch the floor. According to his brain, the floor was like lava. So if he touched it, bad things would happen. Again, neurological impairment. So to him, this is reality. If I touch the floor of the school, I don't know I'm gonna die. Okay, well, I can't let you touch the floor. So I had, because we're in New Jersey, and I had a long-standing relationship with the New Jersey Nets. Yeah, they went bye-bye to Brooklyn. So I had those hand towels that they have on the bench during the games. They donated a whole bunch of towels. So I went into the closet, got 2 towels, put it down on the floor, and said, "Watch me." And I put one foot on one towel, put another foot on the other towel, and I shuffled to the main office. And then I walked back, put the 2 towels back on the floor and said, "See, you'll never touch the floor." And he looked at me, not happy because he didn't want to go to the main office, but he was like, "You solved that problem." That was the beginning of my relationship with that kid, because he could see, all right, I'm in trouble, because he doesn't give up and he solves problems. So he put both feet on the floor and he shuffled his way to the main office. That wasn't the worst of it. All right, I'm gonna do a little teaser. If you wanna hear the rest of that story, you need to follow, because I'm going to give you the rest of that story next week on this channel, on this show, live Tuesdays with Schwartz. So you're gonna need to follow me in order to get an alert. So you want the rest of that story, follow me now. Share this so that everybody hears it, because I'm telling you, this story is a doozy. You're never going to guess what the kid did in the main office. You're never gonna guess. You could try, put in the comment, what do you think the kid did in the main office? The most crazy thing you can think of. Put it in the comment. What do you think the kid did in the main office? I am telling you, I'm guaranteeing you can't predict what he did in the main office. All right. That's it. That's Tuesdays with Schwartz. It's almost 6 o'clock. Everybody, go eat dinner. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you next week. Follow if you want the rest of that story. Put it in the comment what you think the kid did in the main office. And again, sayonara. D.Scott Schwartz, Tuesdays with Schwartz. Thank you so much.